Hello everyone. For those of you who don't know, after Dragon Ball GT ended, a series of fan works sought to continue the storyline under the name Dragon Ball AF, with AF standing for After Future. But one of those fans would end up getting to do more than just produce fanfiction. He went on to make the real deal. This is Toyotaro, sometimes also known by the pen name Toyball, and he was a really big Dragon Ball fan. So much so that he spent countless hours practicing until he was able to replicate Toriyama's art style, with varying success. But the publishing company behind Dragon Ball thought he did it well enough that in 2012, he was hired to draw the new manga adaptation of the series. But way before that, he got his start doing something else. One of the incarnations of Dragon Ball AF was a 5-chapter storyline written and drawn by Toyotaro himself. Up until it wasn't. You see, that's the problem. Imagine you were drawing two different manga series. One of them pays in exposure while the other one pays in, well, you know, pay. Which one are you channeling your efforts into? Your answer is probably the same as Toyotaro's. Because of that, Dragon Ball AF was cut short. Really short. Like Anakin getting a height reduction surgery on Mustafar short. But Toyotaro at least kicked us one last chapter out of pity. It's nowhere near the quality of the previous 4 chapters, but for closure's sake, I figured we'd dive into it all in one go. So let's go! But before we do that, if you want to see future Dragon Ball content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love hearing everyone's thoughts on the matter. To start off, this chapter is only 29 pages long as opposed to the previous ones, which were almost 70. If that doesn't show how few fucks Toyotaro had left to give at this point, I don't know what else will. So we see Broly's Zoro moment, and then smash cut to several decades in the future, where we see Master Roshi telling the story up to this point to Vegeta and Goku Jr. That's right, I kid you not, Toyotaro is actually giving us the "it was just a dream all along" ending. The entire story, every bit of it, was nothing but Master Roshi reminiscing on the good old days. Now do you understand how desperate Toyotaro was to run this thing into the ground so he could start getting paid? Goku and Vegeta Jr. ask how Roshi can stop the story so abruptly like that when it was just getting good. And Roshi apologizes, saying he's very tired and needs some rest. Hint, hint, they weren't talking about the in-universe story. The two kids walk away grumbling about how the story went off the rails, and Goku Jr. complains about how they were promised Gohan would be the main character, but it ended up just being Goku again. Hint, hint, they weren't talking about the in-universe story. Pam thanks Master Roshi for entertaining the kids, and Roshi says it's not like he's got anything better to do since everyone else has died of old age. Dude, don't you have a sister? Isn't it shown in this exact chapter that she's still alive and well? What do you mean you've got nothing left? Come to think of it, doesn't the end of GT also imply Goku is using some magic trickery to stay young? How'd he buy the farm? Did he get bored and just decide to pop back to Otherworld for more training? If you're able to look past the absurdity of how no one would use the Dragon Balls to stay young, then yes, this can actually be seen as a sweet moment. Master Roshi watching over his best friend's descendant on some Speedwagon energy. But with how rushed this chapter was, it was done no favors. A spaceship crash lands, and out of it steps someone introducing themselves as Babidi and claims to be the long-lost child of Babidi. The little frizz he has going on also implies there's some Supreme Kai DNA mixed in with him as well. And he brought his creation, Majin Xi Jinping, to wreak havoc on Earth. The Saiyan spawnlings just smile because they know what this means. They get to work attacking the president of China. Master Roshi feels pride watching those two, and suddenly, he collapses.
1952年、心臓発作で死去。89歳、生涯独身。
Pan desperately tries to wake him, but Roshi mysteriously finds himself back at the Kame house. He's shocked as one of his former students, Krillin, greets him. The entire gang reunites as Yamcha, Poor, Oolong, Turtle, Bulma, and even Lunch all appear. There wasn't enough money in the budget to get Lunch's voice actor back though, so he had to settle for a grunt. Even the crowd that does nothing but pop up in party scenes appears. His old student and master arrive to congratulate him too, and finally, Mr. Dragon Ball himself arrives. Question: if Goku was a kid, then why is Roshi still stuck in his old-ass man body instead of being a ripped 20-year-old? Seems kinda unfair to me. The entire gang starts glazing Roshi for being the one out of them who lived the longest, but he cuts them all off and scolds Goku and Krillin, announcing their new afterlife training regimen starts now. Back on Earth, we see Pan and the Saiyan spawnlings grieving Roshi's death. Dragon Ball AF ends with Roshi reflecting back on how they had one strange adventure, but they can't act like they're done because the next world is full of new adventures awaiting them. And we get to see what became of the Dragon Balls. The 4-star ended up at Goku's childhood home. The 2-star lies in the rubble of Kame House, which got demolished to build Elon's super tunnel. The 3-star landed at Baba's house, and it looks like she's now training a humanoid fox, someone carrying what could be the Z-Sword, and a Spopovich look-alike. A ball that looks like the 4-star ball but was probably supposed to be the 6-star is sitting near Capsule Corp, where Bull Malay is flirting with what could be Yamcha's descendant. Speaking of Yamcha, the 5-star ended up at his old crib. The 7th-star is where Raditz crash-landed on Earth, and the 1-star is at the land of Korin. We close at Sanctuary, where Mr. Popo and Dende wave us off before Goku gives us one final goodbye, and a word from Toyotaro, where he explains this was supposed to be a 4-volume miniseries, but because he got busy, he couldn't finish Volume 4, with Vegeta calling him pathetic. Psh, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, Blue Buddy. Let's not mince words here, this is a terrible ending for the series. We don't get resolution on any, and I mean any, of the plot points set up in the other 4 chapters. We don't learn if the gang beat Zykor after he busts out of the Z-Sword, if Broly ever got over his egotistical need to kill until he was the top Saiyan, if they ever recharged the Dragon Balls and got Goku back, if Goku was able to connect to Zykor given their father and son. Is the West Supreme Kai in Otherworld plotting something devious? Did Goten ever get his girlfriend back, or claim his spot as the top hero back from Papaya Man? As a matter of fact, Papaya Man didn't do squat in this manga. It seemed like there was going to be a whole thing with the girl Saiyans trying to prove themselves to the boys. That went nowhere. It was looking like 17 was going to join the fight at some point and apologize to 18 for going nutso. You know, an actual dangling plot thread from GT that fans would have appreciated getting closure on, even if it wasn't a fan work. All of it gone. Literally everything, all set up, shot straight to HFIL. And you want to know the worst part? This chapter lacks so much substance there's barely anything for me to ramble on about. Literally half of this chapter is just glazing Master Roshi, and that's what gets me. If Toyble could only churn out 29 pages between shifts working for Shueisha, why did he waste them on Master Roshi, a character who did nothing in this manga? Could you not, I don't know, have them succeed in summoning Goku and then have Goku talk no jutsu Zykor, and promising to give him a real family instead of just a manipulator, in exchange for Zykor giving up world conquest? No, give us at least a semblance of an ending? All of it just leaves me thinking, why? Just why? If I had to pick some spark of hope among the sea of disgustingness, I guess I'd have to say the ending is kind of sweet, with the montage showing where all the Dragon Balls ended up. But it was written like it was meant to be the ending of a series that just ran for 500 chapters, not 4. And seeing Master Roshi nurture the kids is kind of nice. Knowing he looked after his students' family for generations like a human Piccolo is nice to see. And it makes sense that he's the last one to die, since he has several tricks giving him super longevity. But why is it that when he dies, everyone is talking about the gang's back together again, when Pan is still alive? I get that we don't see Vegeta, Piccolo, or Gohan here, because we've never really been shown they had a close friendship with Roshi, but the series is concluding on this note that the family has been reunited in the afterlife, when Pan isn't dead yet. I swear, no matter what timeline we're in, Pan always gets the short end of the stick. And look, I'm not heartless. I understand that bills gotta get paid, which is why Toyotaro couldn't finish the series, and I don't fault him for that. What I do fault him for was taking the time to give us a quick ending, only for it to still suck. But, in his defense, there is in fact a long-lost episode of Dragon Ball AF floating around out there. You see, Toyotaro started Chapter 5 before he knew he got the job working at Dragon Ball Heroes Victory Mission, and ended up scrapping all of what he drew to give us this slapdash ending. If he'd taken the time to draw this ending to its completion, maybe it would have softened the blow of the series getting cut short, and we will be going over this ending in a future video. However, since it was never completed or published, it leaves this chapter as the canon ending to Dragon Ball AF, a series that had loads of ambition, drawn by a man with an ocean of passion for it, goes out not with a bang, not even with a whimper, just nothing.